This is the full ChatARV tutorial. In this video, we will go over every step in the entire process of using ChatARV, every hidden feature, and everything that you need to know to utilize ChatARV to its fullest potential. We'll start off by throwing in an address into the search. Once I put in an address, I see a bunch of images for these properties here. I can press the image of the property here to open that up. I can press all images and see all those. I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard to look through these all. We can also open Street View on these properties as well. So we can see what the street looks like, what the cars look like over here. And this is also what the AI sees whenever it's pulling images to see if these properties are similar to that of the comps that it ends up pulling. If you scroll down a little bit, we see sale price info, school district, owner info, and all the sale history. So we see that it was listed and it got removed. We see when it was sold, so what the current owner bought it at. So then if we look down here, we see all the different variables that the comps are pulled within. So we can edit the distance. If it's on auto, ChatARV will go 0.5, 0.7, and then a mile out to find comparables. If you go to custom, you can go as far out as 4 miles, or you can cap it off at 0.2 miles if you only want to find things that are very close to your subject property. Time frame wise, we can find comparables that sold within, but we find properties that sold yesterday on the MLS within our system, and then we go out 3 months, 6 months, and then 12 months to give you better options. If you'd like to adjust that to only show you things within 3 months, you can do that here. If you know there is literally no market action in the area that you're doing a deal, you can go ahead and go as far back as 36 months if you think that that would give you better comps. Our AI model will never go further than 12 months out. Right here we have an ARV mode, which would be best if you're making a cash offer on a property. If you'd like to make a novation offer, you can press as is, and then you'll see this button pop up, which you can input the condition of the property, which gives the AI a little bit of info as to what it's looking for. Sometimes properties might not have images of the interior, so if you put whether or not it's good, average, or poor, that'll help the AI find comparables that sold on their as-is value with the same level of finish as your subject property. We'll start off with an ARV mode property comp. I'll press ARV and I'll press confirm information, but beforehand, we can adjust the range in which the square footage is searched in. So ChatARV will start at 22%. If we're finding a lot of comparables with similar square footage as a subject, we'll go even further down to 10%. But then if we're not finding anything, we'll go further out than 22%. If you wanted to cap it off at a certain number, like maybe 15, 20, 25, you can do that here. I can press less options, and then it'll go within 22% as it is on default. We can also use custom instructions. If I hover over this, we can further filter our comps by saying only find me comps within a mile of the subject if you don't want to go into the distance field. You can say find me stuff built within 10 years of my subject if you know that it might be an old city, and 10 years will be the difference between seeing properties that look exactly like your subject or properties that look really different. You could say must have a pool, match my school district, match bed and baths exactly. So it's essentially doing the filters you do manually, but you just tell the AI model like you're speaking to ChatGPT, for example. I'll go ahead and press confirm info, and I'll break down here what this 4-step process looks like. Step 1 is pulling a bunch of properties off the MLS within the distance and the time frame that we're looking for here, so within a mile and 12 months. Step 2 is comparing the bed, bath, and square footage of the comps to that of the subject. Step 3 is finding a bunch of images for those comps and comparing those to that of the subject. So if we look at the subject here, we see that it is brick, it has a garage, and the comps should look similar if the AI is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Now that our comps are done loading, we can see here the AI gives us a brief description as to what it found comp-wise. So it says it ranked properties based on their alignment with our ARV, focusing on update, style, and layout, which is trying to find comps that look like our subject. It said that certain comps stood out for its nice interior, matching the subject very well on the exterior. And then there are some comps that didn't meet the ARV as close as we'd like it for to. Right here, we can sort these by square feet to see which ones are the closest match with square footage to our subject. We can sort these by year built to see which ones are built closest. I'll choose Heritage because I think it's a pretty good comp. We can look at distance so we can see what's closest, and then we can look at price to see which ones are the cheapest all the way up to the highest on the bottom here. If we go back to relevance, we can press table view to see these properties in a much broader detail. We can swipe right and then see a bunch of other data points. So like the realtor that sold these, school district, do they have a basement? And then we can press show less relevant here to see a bunch more comparables that we didn't see before, which are also visible in the card view as well. But the top 6 are usually the best comps. And then we can, on this page, we can also see a map view to see how close these properties are in comparison to the subject. So subject highlighted in red, we can look at these in a satellite view here. So there's a couple comps over here, a couple comps over here, but they're all within a mile. So I can either hand pick my comps myself. I can choose 1, 2, maybe 3, and then look at the selection assistant, which shows these comps in comparison to the square footage of the subject. So it's showing what the adjustments kind of look like there. And then we can press pick for me as well. So if I press get a report, I'll see that the comps that I chose would justify an ARV of $203,000 to $333. But then if I went back and select different comps, we can go here and press pick for me, and the ARV would say that the ARV would be around 172. So those numbers are a little bit different, but whenever the AI is picking comps, it is looking at properties that look similar to the subject exterior wise, trying to find things that sell within similar price points, and then making sure that the beds, baths, and square footage match. So if you wanted to hand pick your comps, you might be able to see something that the AI isn't seeing that you could justify better yourself by knowing the market. I'll go with what the AI picked for us here. We see an estimate ARV range of 163,000 to 181,000. We can download this comp report fully and share this with potential partners, investors, etc. We can also copy these reports as an image and then send these amongst our team members. If I want to copy it as a share link as well, I can open this in a new tab. And if you share this as a link to a group chat, to a forum that you're in, the people that you send this comp report to will only be able to see the 3 comps, their details. They can see the info tab, they can scroll, they can see the comp report, and that's about it. They can't do anything else here. If we go back to the ChatARV page, that pretty much sums up the comp report stage, how to share it and everything. And here's where we make our cash offer in ARV mode. If I tell the AI, based off my conversations with the seller, the property will need X, Y, and Z, we could type those in manually. So I could say, yeah, it needs a new basement, like carpet in the basement, renovations to the kitchen, just a couple new cabinets. Like, the better detail you give the AI, the more accurate the output will be. But if you're on the phone with the seller and, for example, you don't want them to hear you typing, we have a few quick repair options here at the bottom. So I can press needs a new roof, new landscaping, new drywall, and just press go. And the AI will start looking in Belleville, Illinois to see how much these repairs will cost based off, conversations in public areas where people got quotes. Landscaping wise, it's going to look at the lawn in the subject image. So it's going to see, okay, the actual plants look pretty good, but the lawn looks pretty dry. So it'll try to justify for fixing those. So it says, like right here, based on the image you sent, front yard needs improvement. Lawn renovations are including seeding, soil preparation, fertilizer. So it's actually analyzing the images to give us very accurate numbers here. And it gives us an estimate repair cost of $38,000 with sources. So we see a bunch of different sources here. I'll approve $38,000 as our estimate repair costs, and I'll put in $20,000 as my assignment fee. If we're using 70% as the MAO percentage, which is based off of the number of pending properties in the area and some other factor that I forgot, we get our maximum allowable offer to seller would be $62,000, and we sell to our buyer at $82,000 to make our $20,000 assignment fee. If we press yes on did I make this offer, if we go back to the Find Comps dashboard, ChatARV helps you see how many offers you've made this week versus how many you made last week, the states that you're running comps in, and how many comps you've ran this week versus last week. So it's a pretty subtle way to keep yourself accountable. If I go back in here and type in the same address as last time, but this time we run an as-is comp so that we can make a Novation offer, we can look at the images of the subject here and then see that it actually looks pretty average. It doesn't look fully rehabbed, but it looks move-in ready. So I'll leave it as average for the condition. And one thing that we forgot to go over earlier was property status. We can pull comps that are MLS active, pending, sold, and public record. I recommend leaving them all checked off because the AI will determine whether or not it should include any of these different factors based off of the current situation. For as-is comps, usually it'll show MLS sold and public record properties. I'll press confirm info, and it's running through the same 4-step process we mentioned with ARV mode, except this time it'll go ahead and include properties that are average and sold as is, most of which will be public record. Some will be MLS sold, and very few will be renovated. If so, renovations will be very light. So now that these comps have loaded, we can see some of these as-is comps here. We can look at these in table view. We can look at these and see the map view to see where they are in comparison to the subject. These look a little bit closer than the ARV mode comps. I'll go back here and let the AI pick for us. We get an average, sale price here of 140. We'll go down here and then we'll go to the Novation offer, and we'll see that it's justifying 5% for the selling costs and minor repairs. We're at 90% of a fast sale percentage here, and our target profit will be $30,000. So we'll offer the seller $89,000 on a Novation offer, and we'll sell for $134,000 to make our $30,000 profit. Right here, we can also do the same repair cost estimate that we were doing on ARV mode. So I could say kitchen and exterior paint, maybe driveway too. It's looking at the interior, so it's going to look at the images and then see, okay, the kitchen looks okay. Maybe we can get a new countertop, probably new cabinets as well, because this is pretty outdated. But honestly, that's fine for an Novation deal. This is still a move-in ready, so we can go back down here, and it's trying to figure out how much these repair costs will be. I'll let that load. It gives us $48,000 for kitchen labor and a bunch of other factors that it lists here. So I'll approve that, and then we'll go back up here. And now the offer goes down significantly, and the sale price remains the same. Now we'll go over a few hidden features that you might not notice using ChatARV day to day. If we go back to the ARV mode for the property we just ran comps on, we can go all the way up here and edit information to get different comparables, or so I guess right here earlier I left it at 15%. We can go up 30% for the square footage range, and I could say must have a pool, and yeah, we'll leave it as that. And I could also go here and maybe put only properties that are MLS active and sold. We'll press confirm info, and now it's processing our custom instructions. So school district must match the subjects, and it's going to try and find us properties that sold in the same school district. And right there we see both of them sold within Belleville District 118, Belleville District 118. We can also rate these comps good or bad, which will help us, tweak the AI model further and make the experience great for all people using ChatARV, and especially yourself. If we go back to the Find Comps page, another hidden feature may be if you type in an address that you've previously comped before, we will show you that address at the top so that you don't need to run another report. So maybe this 12 Hillchar Drive property, if I press it, we'll see the comp report from last time. We can also search our comps in this left-hand side here and put in an address. So I'll see I've comped 12 Hillchar Drive like 100 times already. Another thing I'd like to mention is the Get 25, Give 25 plan that we have. If you'd like to refer ChatARV to a friend, you can copy this link here, and if I go in to paste it, I'll see at the top, Aiden gifted you $25 off ChatARV. If you send this to a friend, they can claim the offer, start a free trial, and their trial will only bill $25 at the end of those 7 days, but you will be able to get $25 as well that we could send to you via Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, however you'd like it, or we can credit it to your next billing plan for ChatARV. I hope this was informative and showed you how to use ChatARV, as there are some moving parts, but we've tried to keep it really simple for everyone to use it. We have, where you put in your address, where you select your comps, and where you make your offer. We like to keep it as simple as possible, but hopefully this went over everything and helps you make the most of ChatARV.